Yo, so guys, welcome back to another video. This is another Lost in the Pond reaction, and this one is 8 wild animals I only encountered after moving to America. I'm a bit tired, by the way. I've just been to the gym and I'm absolutely exhausted, so if I seem a bit just drowsy or just a bit all over the place, that's the reason, that's my excuse. But yeah, I always enjoy the animal sort of specific videos, animals specifically in the US, or Lost in the Pond videos. So the combo together, I'm sure is going to be a banger. But I mean, before I get into it, if you haven't subscribed to Lost in the Pond, please do. Links in the description to his channel. And yeah, because his videos are banging, and I'm sure if you're watching this reaction and you enjoy it, I'm sure you'll enjoy his videos as well. But yeah, man, let's see some more animals specifically in the US, because when I come to think of it, obviously you've got like you've got more dangerous animals like crocodiles or alligators or whatever, or like I can't really think. Hippos? Are hippos in the US? I can't even remember. I don't even think they are. I think they're only in Africa. But just, yeah, I know there's a lot. The variety of animal in the US is just 10 times more than the UK. But yeah, I mean, let's just see this video. Let's check this out. Before we get into it, check out my Instagram and my Twitter. Links in the description for those. Save my Patreon. Links all there for those interested. And yeah, man, let's just get
until the tour guide just casually pointed at the trees and said, tour guide just casually pointed at the trees and said, yeah, there's 8 bald eagles. What? What? Actually, that's amazing. Show me, make them.
Before we get into this, actually, I want to see animals only in England. I need to see if there's even any. Wait. So venomous snakes, it may be a surprise to hear, It may surprise you to hear, but the UK is home to its very own species of the venomous snake, the adder. I thought adders were all around the world. Again, I've never actually seen one, so they're obviously very rare here. Where do you even find adders? Red squirrels, dolphins. We have dolphins in the UK. Dolphins. Think dolphins. I've never seen a dolphin in my life. What? Killer whales? What? Humpback whales? Are you mad? Scorpions? I didn't know that. Skunks? Never seen a skunk. I think I've seen one in the road before. Hit by a car, which is pretty depressing. Sharks? Yeah, I'm not reading it. And golden eagles. Hummingbird? Hawk moths? Slow worms? Crocodile. A picture was supposedly taken of the reptile close to the Clifton. While some experts believe crocodiles could survive easily in the UK waters, you're most likely to find them in tropical climates like Africa, Asia. Crocodiles in the UK? Are you mad? Otters, natterjack toads, roe deer. Well, I mean, that's a surprise. I guess some of these are probably suspect, especially the crocodile one. But I mean, yeah, what saying there is. And sorry for this long ass intro. I just wanted to see animals specifically to the UK. Now we've just taken up 2 minutes of the video. Let's get into this.
Fly! They're not remote controlled. They don't work like that. Hello, I'm Lawrence, and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those pertains to nature, specifically wild animals. It feels like quite a while since I've seen any wild animals, unless you count my cat, who is an animal and is wild. And so because I'm still in quarantine and I crave nature, I thought this would be another good addition.
Speaking of quarantine, man, again, like, it's 2 days since we've been out of quarantine now. Slowly, we still can't go to like cinemas and stuff, but mate, it's just so good to be things that seem somewhat normal. Going to like the pubs, going to the gyms. Actually, we can't go out for dinner yet either. But it's slowly getting back to normality. I know the US has been like, I feel like the US hasn't been on lockdown for a long time. But in the UK, man, it's been like a year and a bit. We've had like a little spell last summer and a little spell before Christmas for like a few months, but
the spring series
so happy,
that
man.
I've been doing. We've
So
looked at the uproarious nature in which both countries have introduced invasive species to one another. We've also looked at how Britain doesn't have anything on America when it comes to domesticated pets. And so I thought it would be interesting, particularly for you Americans, to see kind of how unique some of your wildlife is. Some of the animals on this list, I should say, are endemic, not just to the United States, but North America, sometimes South America, and then you will find sort of instances of some of these dotted around the planet. But none of them cropped up in Britain, with the very possible exception of this. Raccoons. The only real experience I had of them.
Are they the ones that are always? I swear I see videos of them always like in like bins and stuff, like in back gardens, and their eyes are always like really glaring, and like it's usually like dark when they come out. So I think they're nocturnal. I think so. I swear there's this video that I saw of like. There must have been about 50 raccoons in like a dustbin, and they all just look at the guy's camera.
Growing up in England was playing
swear.
Super Mario Brothers 3, and that doesn't really count. So I was thrilled to bits to discover that they're a real animal, and they definitely exist here in North America. Just leave your bins out for 2 weeks, and then you'll discover them, although in Britain you don't get a choice over that duration. Whenever I hear about raccoons from Americans, right, it's usually in the context of what utter pests they are, you know, going through your trash and stealing your discarded receipts and then assuming your financial information. But aside from all that, they are quite adorable, I mean, to look at, right? They've got these huge bushy tails, which is always fun.
Are they dangerous or not?
And they're amazing,
Probably
but it
not.
looks like they have been slightly distributed around the world, or at least introduced. And while I did hear that some of them were introduced to Britain, that's got nothing on Germany. Look at this map. It's
wow.
off the charts. I had no idea that Germans were so acquainted with raccoons. Same with Japan. So that Japan, that explains the raccoon suit in Mario 3. Though it doesn't explain why Mario turns into a statue while wearing one. Do raccoons do that in Japan? I have no idea. And that's because I didn't grow up with them or live in Japan. Whether you call them whistle pigs, woodchucks, or groundhogs, it's the same animal, essentially, and they're to be found mostly, when we're talking about America, in the eastern portion of the United States, which probably explains why I've encountered one. I lived in Indiana for about 8 years before moving to Chicago, and especially while I lived in rural Indiana, you saw all manner of wildlife, and one of these was no exception. They love to burrow.
What the heck is this?
Don't they? And then they emerge from that burrow, usually on February 2nd. They time it to the T. I'm joking. I don't think there's any science behind that. But of course, February 2nd in the United States and Canada is Groundhog Day, right? And I'd heard of Groundhog Day only in the context of the film with Bill Murray. I didn't know it was an actual thing, which goes back to apparently the Pennsylvania Dutch, who were superstitious. And they said that when the groundhog emerged on February 2nd, if it saw its own shadow, because, you know, the weather was clear, then that would mean that winter would go on. But if it didn't, it meant spring was imminent. This has turned out to also not be scientifically sound, and there's absolutely no evidence that it holds true. But that's not
Groundhogs determining climates. That's the first time I've heard of that. But you know what? It's still an interesting sort of thing for people to believe or celebrate. It's still a fun little thing.
not going to stop us in this day and age, is it? Even though we have the internet. In fact, no, especially because we have the internet. Tragically, groundhogs have clearly distributed themselves around the continent to form the shape of a flattened groundhog, perhaps as a warning to motorists. So I remember my first encounter with a skunk, but it wasn't with the mammal itself, but rather...
See, I don't think I've seen one, but I feel like I may have seen one run over, but I don't actually know if that's something that I'm imagining. It was actually some other animal. I think it was probably some other animal, honestly, because I've never seen a skunk.
With its zesty and intoxicating aroma, how I miss
Are they
the
dangerous?
outdoors. Somebody needs to make a
smell?
skunk-based perfume. That would be... we checked. They have...
I've actually got to search this now. What do skunks smell like? I've got to see. Is it like an eggy sort of smell? Skunk spray contains sulfur-based organic compounds called thiols. These compounds let off an immediate blast of acrid scent reminiscent of rotten eggs. Skunk spray also contains whatever that says. To be fair, me and skunks sound kind of similar. I have to have some milk, man. Me and my milk does not go well. I cannot have milk anymore. Why am I saying
I've in fact done that, which is...
And I don't drink
pretty
milk anymore, and I'm joking. It's a shit joke. I don't even know what I'm doing.
Because for my British viewers, I was joking a moment ago. It's one of the most pungent and nasally raucous smells you'll ever experience, and you'll know it when you smell it. At first I had to ask though, because I started to think that Indiana just naturally smelled like arse. And it wouldn't have just been Indiana. I mean, striped skunks are found more or less in the entire United States, and some people keep them as pets. And what I want to know right now is, how's quarantine working out for you? I mean, do you let them in the house? Do they let rip in the kitchen? I've heard that odour is only emitted when they feel threatened. So I suppose presumably, since they're a pet, that's not very often. Although if my cat's anything to go by, it'll be every time the garbage men turn up. And then it's just competing smells.
It could be a stinker.
Don't be fooled by the name.
Virginia Opossum. Wait, possum. Why does possum have an O in front of it? I swear, I've seen this before. Why does possum have a silent... but the English language is dumb, man. I can't.
Don't be fooled by the name. This beautiful creature, the Virginia opossum, can be found in many
opossum. So it's actually called
quarters
opossum.
of the United States.
I swear I thought...
In fact, if you remember that video I did recently on trees, the distribution of opossums seems to be loosely connected to the distribution of forests. Now, as I discovered on Twitter this week, if you live in Minnesota or Wisconsin and you're looking at this map and thinking, why aren't my opossums represented? That's not fair. It's because this map is slightly out of date, but I do understand that some have ventured up into those two states. The bigger question about this map, though, is what the heck is going on the Washington-Oregon border? It looks like some sort of marsupial boundary dispute.
Some horny ass possums.
The Columbia River runs along that border. Why don't you find opossums along other riverways as well on this map? I'm not sure there's a lot of love out there.
I've never heard of opossum in my life. I thought it was just possum. Are they two different animals? Or have I just been saying possum wrong my whole life?
Opossums, and it's easy to see why. They generally look quite silly. Unlike these adorable bastards.
White-tailed deer.
Just to clarify, deer absolutely exist in the United Kingdom, and just like in the United States, you normally encounter them when you're hitting them with your car. But we don't have the same kind of deer, and when I lived in Indiana, I would see deer quite regularly, just sometimes just meandering through a wood and across a road. It's their own fault in many ways. And in Indiana and much of the east of the United States, and even some of the west, you're most likely to encounter what is known as a white-tailed deer. Why is it called that? Because it's a deer and it has a white tail. In all fairness to them and all deer around the world, they are absolutely adorable, or should that be adorable?
Aren't they quite dangerous though? They are, aren't they? Or is it moose that I'm thinking of? And I've just got this joke.
Sorry about that. And our next entry is no exception.
Mule deer.
Mule deer, that's the other really prominent type of deer that you'll find in the United States, specifically out west. Now, I obviously live in the Midwest and I spend most of my time here, but I have encountered a mule deer. Not here, but in Salt Lake City. I did have to clarify with the internet this week that that is what this is, but you can tell. In fact, there are a number of ways you can tell. Number one, make sure it doesn't have a white tail. One of the subspecies of a mule deer is the black-tailed deer. But if you're not so inclined to look at its arse, then rearrange the letters and look at its ears. Arse is an anagram of ears. A mule deer has some absolutely enormous lugs, just like a mule,
funny, man.
or Prince Charles.
Just says the most random
the
shit. I
bald
love
eagle. Now, you don't usually find America's national bird hovering over the skies of Chicago. And outside of seeing this one at Indianapolis Zoo, I don't think I'd really encountered them in the wild until that trip out west. It was amazing. I was in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and I was taking one of those boat tours of the big lake. It was beautiful, right? But I wasn't expecting much more than just a nice, relaxing boat ride with beautiful scenery. Until the tour guide just casually pointed at the trees and said, oh, yeah, there's 8 bald eagles. What? What? Actually, that's amazing. Make them fly. They're not remote controlled. They don't work like that. And I think one of them did. It hovered down toward the water because they generally populate themselves around large waterways because they're keen on fishing. And they're an absolutely stunning animal. I mean, they look amazing. I mean, look at those talons. But here's
Bro, that is a species from the ancient times, man. I mean, I don't know if it's probably not true, but I wouldn't be surprised if these were from the dinosaur ages, man. Just the claws, they're probably sharp enough and long enough to like pierce a human's, like, I don't know, how long would that be? Is that like as long as my fingers? Because if that is, that could probably stab like my heart, which probably wouldn't actually happen, but just the idea of the length, and obviously the beak is bloody huge. How big are these actually next to humans? I'm doing this a lot, I'm sorry, I am sorry. I mean, people actually said they like it when I search things up. Bald eagle next to human. I've got to see this, man. Jesus, they are huge. Oh my. Oh, killed. Don't want to see that. Do not want to see that at all. God damn, they're massive. Yeah, those claws are huge. Maybe not as long as fingers, but they're still massive, man. God damn. Are they like... Look at this. Are they safe for humans to be around if they're like sort of tamed or whatever the word is? what's the word? That when you keep pets and stuff. I forgot what
Those
the word is.
talons. But here's an interesting fact about them. They're not bald, right? The name actually comes from the fact that when that name was given, the word bald just meant white-headed. And all I can think is,
Oh, wow.
has anybody told the birds? I bet they're really self-conscious. Coyotes are found all across the United States, to the extent that many years ago, during this past February, one even showed up outside of our door in Chicago. Between these two narrow fences that we have outside, it had gotten itself stuck, which really didn't do anything for tired old coyote stereotypes perpetuated by Looney Tunes. Now, before I could get to it, it had actually freed itself, which is a shame because I just turned to my wife and said, "Oh, can we get one?" That they're not domestic animals, so don't get any bright
Domestic,
ideas.
that's the word.
They eat small rodents, they eat rabbits, and they attack chickens. So it's sort of like me when I was 9. You know, be careful of them, be wary. They don't typically
You used to eat rabbits when you were
attack
9.
humans, but it has been known to happen in the past. And I thought I should just mention that as a kind of warning to any British people or anybody coming to the United States that sort of encounters
So that's it. Yeah, so it is like a dog.
these and
part of
thinks
the
they're
dog
just a
species.
general dog because they are from the canine family. Maybe
Canine
don't
family,
pet
that's the
them.
one.
All that said, to bring this video entirely full circle, they also hunt and sometimes kill raccoons, which is sort of the real-life equivalent of the T-Rex eating the raptors in Jurassic Park. That's it for this episode. Let me know in the comments below your favourite wild animal
banger,
and whether
man.
you keep it
Another
as a
banger.
pet. Throughout the last few weeks, I've been putting out the odd tidbit around these sorts of things on Twitter. And if you would like to keep up with all of my musings, you can do so at Lost in the Pond US. And I've noticed that since we passed 100,000 subscribers right here on YouTube, our daily subscriber increase has gone up. So
Wait, so he hit 100. He probably hit like 120k here at this point. He's blown up then, or not? But he's got so many subs, man. Fair play, he deserves it because his channel is so interesting. He's gonna be at 1 million subs in no time. I can guarantee that. His videos are so interesting for me, man. I can't believe I misspelled raccoon. I was too busy making sure I got a possum right. Thankfully, the word appears to still be turning. You haven't seen anything until you've seen a fully grown moose in the wild. They are rather large. I don't think there are moose in the UK. That's one thing for sure. Whenever I see a bald eagle, I feel so honoured. I know they're longer. They're no longer on the endangered list, but they are magnificent. Have you seen an armadillo? My dad calls them possum on half shell. Interesting fact, they carry leprosy. What? Armadillos carry leprosy. What's an armadillo again? Yeah, what the fuck are these? They're so weird, man. But they are not the prettiest looking things, but they are so weird. And this man's just carrying it. Brave Wilderness, I know who he is. He's that guy who gets bit by stuff, isn't he? I swear. People told me to correct him before. Nasally raucous, a brilliant euphemism for stinks to IF. And possums may be kind of homely, but they eat ticks. That by itself is a valuable trait. You left out armadillos, porcupines, moose, and infamous jackalope. What's this? Armadillos are weird, man. They are some strange looking animals. What the heck is this? What? This isn't real. This has to be like a myth sort of animal, right? Wait. Oh, it's a mythical one. Fuck's sake. For God's sake, I was thinking it's actually real, man. When people have skunks as pets, they usually have the scent glands removed so they can't spray. Same thing with ferrets. Oh, wow, that's pretty cool. But yeah, hopefully you enjoy this one. I love these sort of animal type videos or the wildlife type videos. And I mean, yeah, just more videos like this you want to see. Because I do love doing them. And yeah, until next time, like, subscribe. Peace.